excited about it.
How big was the position? How big was the Zcash position?
Let's just say it's very substantial.
9 figures, you said?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Traditional stock market is behaving more like crypto than ever before, and how volatile that's becoming, just like trading in general. It's kind of become this like blur. The line is becoming more and more blurred every day.
Yeah. Yeah, you spoke a little bit about like cash flows versus the idea of a token. And I definitely agree that we have a lot more clarity now that you can return these cash flows to token owners in a cool way. But one of you guys' best trades recently has been Zcash. And I guess, how does that fit in your model for what drives value to tokens? Because Zcash obviously doesn't have any cash flow. So why are you so bullish on that trade, and what's your update there?
Yeah, absolutely. Zcash is kind of the exception. And so let me tell you about kind of our history with Zcash and why we found it interesting.
Yeah.
We've been paying attention to Zcash for a while, and for a long time, it just felt dead. It was like, why do you need this? Bitcoin is the credibly neutral thing. But sentiment really started to shift on a number of key issues. The first thing that we saw was there's this emergence of wealth taxes or unrealized gains taxes. And you're seeing that around the world, right? And I expect that as AI continues to proliferate, it'll increase wealth inequality, and it'll increase the political desire for these types of taxes. And what people realize is having a bunch of Bitcoin, yes, it cannot be frozen by anybody, but if everyone knows that you have it, then it can still be seized pretty easily, because all it takes is someone to show up to your house and demand that you give them some amount of your Bitcoin. So the only way to have true censorship resistance is with privacy. If you don't have privacy, if everyone knows that you own something, then you can be censored. It's something that someone can come and try and take from you. And then we also saw 2 other things that made us excited about Zcash. The second is I saw a bunch of OG Bitcoiners get excited about Zcash. And you have to go back to that era, like the 2013, 2014, 2015 era, and think about the people who were buying Bitcoin at the time. They were not buying it because they thought it was an investment necessarily. They were buying it for political purposes. They had certain beliefs about the world. These are the libertarian types, and they were buying it because of those beliefs. And I think a lot of them grew pretty jaded with Bitcoin. It's gotten fairly institutionally captured with BlackRock and MicroStrategy controlling so much of it now. And it's also stopped evolving. It doesn't keep up with technology. And a lot of these people, not all of them, you can't paint them with just one brush, but a lot of them got kind of bored of Bitcoin. They weren't paying attention to it. But then when Zcash started to draw more attention, they got really excited about it. And what I saw is those same Bitcoin OGs that were excited about it last year were still excited about it this year. And I called a bunch of people in February of this year, which is when we put on the big Zcash position. Yep. And they were still excited about it.
How big was the position? How big was the Zcash position?
Let's just say it's very substantial.
9 figures, you said?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they printed for sure.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool that Bitcoiners, OGs had this idea of Bitcoin and like a rebel against the existing system. I think that was like an idea that formalized with BTC. I'm curious if you think that anything could ever happen similarly like that, but like with the younger generation, because the younger generation also has like these ideas about markets and how they trade them. And I don't think that sometimes they don't have the same frameworks that boomers do when they're froze. They freeze. You good? Can you hear?
Oh, I lost you there for a second. Not sure where the problem is.
Yeah. Repeat the question.
I was saying like Bitcoin and Zcash are ideas, like as you said, libertarian, like rebelling against the system. Do you think that anything could ever happen like that again, like an immaculate conception with the younger generation around like some idea that they resonate with?
It's a great question.
I do think that's a really good question. Although I caught what you said before, and maybe you called me a boomer. I'm definitely not a boomer.
No, not you, not you. I'm not calling you a boomer, bro. No, I'm not. I don't think you're a boomer.
Can it happen? Like, look, the Immaculate Conception story of Bitcoin is really cool, and I don't know that can be repeated. There's only one time that you can be the first blockchain, but I don't think that's the only thing that matters, right? Like, you don't have to like freeze at a moment in time and then just stick to that one version of the world. So could this happen for Zoomers? Yeah, I absolutely think it could happen. I think what's going to happen for Zcash is not necessarily a bunch of like traders necessarily get into it. I think what we're going to see is people building businesses, next generation businesses, AI empowered businesses with, like 1 or 2 employees and making just tremendous amounts of money are going to see this as a way to secure some portion of that money. And
that's the best thesis I've heard for Zcash. That what you just said right there is like that was fucking amazing. Clip
solid.
That shit, somebody. I mean, this fucking that's on point. That makes so much sense.
Does make sense.
Yeah.
Could you give the chat, I guess, some info on like what exactly happened with the Zcash hack and like what the Ironwood update does with Zcash and like why it's important and why people were so concerned about what happened like a few months ago?
Yeah, I wouldn't call it a hack. I don't think there is any evidence of anything
flaw.
Right? Like if you look at the news, all that happened is in early June, one of the core devs teams said, hey, we patched a critical vulnerability that we found. And look, the vulnerability was a bad one, right? It had been in the code base since 2022. And what it would have allowed is for there to be infinite minting of Zcash within the orchard pool if it were exploited. However, we have no evidence that it was exploited. We haven't seen any activity that indicates that it was exploited. And so we thought that the reaction to that news of a software bug being patched was extreme. So we actually bought some more after that happened because we had no evidence that it was being exploited. What we saw is there was a bunch of levered traders in there and
they got
stop losses.
Yeah.
And so as soon as you start running stop losses, like this took me back to 2017 BitMEX level.
It did. Yeah, for me too, for sure.
And you just like, you have to show up and buy when there's blood in the streets. And you know that the market is being irrational and it's just a bunch of stop losses being hit or a bunch of liquidations happening. Since then, what the Zcash team has done is they've released a new pool called Ironwood, which is formally verified. And I won't go into too much technical specificity, but what formally verified means is that it's mathematically proven to not have any bugs. This isn't a theoretical, oh, we did an audit or something. This is a mathematical proof of correctness in the code that it cannot have this kind of bug. So it cannot have an infinite minting bug in there. That pool was released. Everyone is migrating over from the old pool to the new pool. Once again, we've seen no evidence of any exploit. And now the system is more secure than it ever has been before. It's also now quantum recoverable. So in case there are quantum computers that would be able to crack all of Satoshi's keys for his Bitcoin, those quantum computers would not have the ability to take your Zcash. So there's a number of really important upgrades that Zcash has had.